At noon, a Maui teen and her one-year-old baby, who are the subjects of a rare Maile Amber Alert this morning, have been found. Maui police say 17-year-old Lilinoi Ka'ili and her son Ocean were found in good health on the Big Island just after 11 a.m. On Monday morning, MPD says they received a report that Ka'ili had left her Kula home with her son and multiple bags. Now, it was reported that she was upset over Ocean being cared for by family members, and attempts to contact the teen through her cell phone were unsuccessful. So, a county-wide Maile Amber Alert was issued just before 10 this morning out of concern for Ocean's safety. But again, they have been found in good health on the Big Island. President Trump spent the morning trying to get Russia to agree to a peace deal while also calling for a judge who ruled against him to be impeached. Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
Ukrainian soldiers evacuated civilians from parts of eastern Ukraine as Russian forces gain ground in the Donetsk region.
I've got to get the deal signed. 2,000 people a week sometimes are killed. And we have to get that agreement signed, but that's the only thing I think about.
President Trump spent more than 2 hours on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin Tuesday, pushing him to accept a ceasefire. The Kremlin said Russia agreed to a prisoner exchange, swapping 175 Ukrainian soldiers for an equal number of their own, while the White House says Putin agreed to a 30-day ceasefire on energy and infrastructure targets.
The fact that a nuclear power plant is a contested object in a war that involves live ammunition being fired and explosives is extremely concerning.
In addition to the call with Putin, Trump spent part of the day railing against a federal judge who ordered the administration to stop deportation flights carried out using the Wartime Alien Enemies Act. The president said he was doing what Americans elected him to do and said this judge, like many of the crooked judges I'm forced to appear before, should be impeached. That drew a swift rebuke from U.S. Chief Justice John Roberts, who issued a rare statement saying impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Happening. Mayor Rick Blangiardi will share how he thinks the city is doing. He'll give his 5th State of the City address tonight inside the Frank F. Fosse building. The program begins at 6, and you can watch it live on K5. To Hilo, the accused getaway driver for an alleged cop shooter will need to post more than $3 million bail to be released from custody. Silas Zion appeared in court via video from a holding cell on Monday. The 23-year-old is charged with being an accomplice to attempted murder, firearms offenses, and hindering prosecution. Zion is accused of driving the pickup truck that helped Christopher Lucretia escape last Friday after police say Lucretia shot an officer who confronted him in Hilo. Lucretia was killed during a shootout with police at a Mountain View home that brought a 3-day manhunt to an end on Sunday. And we're now hearing from the woman who was in that home when Lucretia barged in with a gun.
He asked for the keys to the car, and I said, I don't have them. He saw my purse and snatched it and went out to the car. I ran and locked the doors, both front and back. He shot at the doors, I think 4 times at the front door, and then he went to the back door and shot, 3 or 4 times at the back door and couldn't get in.
The homeowner says her car was riddled with bullets. Investigators took it away as evidence. New video of that shooting in Waikiki Sunday night. This happened around 10 p.m. in the middle of Kalakaua Avenue near the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center. It's unclear who was shooting at whom, but the gunfire sent multiple people running. And you can also see someone trying to hide what looks like a machete. Police opened an attempted murder investigation, but have released no information on arrests or even suspect descriptions. No injuries were reported, but nearby shops were struck by bullets and several windows were shattered. Lori Vallow Daybell was back in an Arizona courtroom today for her hearing ahead of her upcoming murder conspiracy trial. The so-called Doomsday Mom is facing 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder in the deaths of her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, and her former nephew-in-law, Brandon Bodor. The trials will be separate. Vallow Daybell was already sentenced to life in prison for murdering her 2 children and conspiring to kill her husband's former wife. Maui's police chief is speaking out for the first time since being named in a high-profile lawsuit involving rapper Sean Diddy Combs. In an interview with our chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano, John Pelletier said he is now considering legal action of his own.
Chief Pelletier has now submitted multiple documents to the police commission in an effort to clear his name and stay on the job.
This came as a complete shock and surprise to myself, my family. It's completely false and baseless.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier says text messages and emails prove he was not linked to a gang rape in Orinda, California on March 23, 2018. The electronic trail shows he was more than 550 miles away, on call in Las Vegas, able to respond to crimes within 60 minutes of being notified.
This is a signed affidavit from one of the lieutenants that worked for me.
Last week, a civil complaint by an Ashley Parham and 2 others alleged Pelletier covered up a rape for Sean Diddy Combs and multiple others. Days after the complaint was filed, Maui's mayor urged the police commission to put Pelletier on leave, a request the chief is fighting on multiple fronts.
Easy thing would have been, I'll take a paid vacation and go. That's wrong. I've worked too hard and lived my life for 50+ years and been a cop for a quarter of a century. The only person that can give away your integrity is you, and I've done nothing to give mine away.
A picture included in the civil lawsuit claims a bald man standing near Combs at the 2018 Super Bowl is Pelletier, but pictures he submitted to the commission from that year show he had hair, and videos H&N obtained from a Vegas news station also show him with a crew cut.
And just a heads up, Channel 10 is inbound for my location.
The civil lawsuit dropped as a federal criminal investigation is ongoing. Sean Diddy Combs' LA home was raided last year. Pelletier says he was not connected to the criminal case either.
And I've been contacted by no law enforcement of any kind to reference this criminal investigation, period.
No federal target letter?
No.
No calls to meet with investigators?
No.
Had you ever met Combs?
No.
The Maui Police Commission meeting is set for Wednesday. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Lynn. And H&N did reach out to the Maui Police Commission Chair, Stacey Moniz, who said she could not comment at this time, but would likely have something to say after Wednesday's meeting. Well, as measles cases rise across the U.S., the Hawaii Department of Health warns some populations in our state that they're vulnerable to an outbreak. Now, this is due to low vaccination rates in parts of Maui, Kauai, and Hawaii Island. The DOH says a vaccination rate of 95% is needed to protect the community against an outbreak, but some schools report vaccination rates below 75%. While no locally acquired cases have been reported in Hawaii, DOH warns there is a high risk of exposure from travel-related cases.
Aloha on this Tuesday. The weather should be settling down. There will still be cloudy skies and there will still be some spotty showers, but the heavy rain, the thunderstorms should be done by now. And you can see temperatures running to about 83 degrees. There will also expected to be some haze because the winds will run on the slow side. Now on the plus side, there's a rising northwest swell, not a big swell below advisory levels, but coming in with the lighter winds, conditions should be pretty good if you can handle that size.
Thank you, Guy. Israel shattered the ceasefire with Gaza overnight, launching the first major airstrike since the pause in fighting. The Hamas-run health ministry says more than 400 people were killed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the strike, saying Hamas has repeatedly refused to release the remaining 59 hostages. Remy Inocencio has more.
Israel unleashed dozens of airstrikes up and down the Gaza Strip, breaking the fragile ceasefire, which had barely lasted 2 months, causing hospitals and morgues to overflow once again after more than 17 months of war. As morning came, Gazans sat stunned amid the dead after the terror of the night, final moments with loved ones lost in silent grief. This father held his dead daughter in one last embrace. We were sleeping, and the airstrike woke us up, said Mohammed. We kept searching for her, and praise to God, we pulled her body from under the rubble. The Israeli government blamed Hamas for a breakdown in negotiations to free hostages and warned more strikes on alleged terror targets are to come.
Let me be very clear. Israel will not stop until all of our hostages are back home.
In Tel Aviv's hostage square, many wonder what the collapsed ceasefire will mean for dozens of hostages still being held.
It puts our hostages in danger.
Israel's defense minister warned, quote, the gates of hell will open if Hamas does not release all of their captives. And in response, Hamas is blaming Israel for breaking the original ceasefire agreement from January. Hamas also says this return to war amounts to a death sentence for the remaining hostages. Rami Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Ahead on This Is Now, a look at the relationship between President Grover Cleveland and Queen Liliuokalani and what happened in the years following the overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom. Plus this.
It's a homecoming more than 9 months in the making. I'm Cristian Benavides with the astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams' much anticipated return to Earth.
The birthday of U.S. President Grover Cleveland, who was in office right after the overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom. As Eddie Dowd reports, his legacy in the islands is still being debated more than a century later.
It's well documented that Queen Liliuokalani wanted to avoid bloodshed when she was forced to surrender her throne after a coup by American businessmen. But she had every intention to restore her kingdom. And one of the cards she planned to use was leaning on her relationship with the President of the United States. It was 1887, 6 years before the events that would change Hawaii forever. Then Princess Liliuokalani was invited to the White House with Queen Kapiolani for a dinner with President Cleveland. Something Cleveland's living grandson says was a big deal at the time.
People of color having dinner at the White House? Are you kidding me? That just didn't happen. But he was talking with the leaders of a nation.
After losing his re-election, Cleveland would later return to the White House 2 months after the overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom, led by now Queen Liliuokalani. According to Cleveland's authorized biography, he received this letter from her. It read in part, "My great and good friend, I leave our grievance in your hands, confident that insofar as you deem it proper, we shall have your sympathy and your aid."
She absolutely had hope. She had seen it happen before. This rogue guy came, took over the country, but when word got to the world, they saved us. So she was pretty sure it was going to happen.
According to Cleveland's authorized biography, he ordered an investigation into the overthrow a week after he was sworn in. 4 months later, he determined it was unlawful. He sent a man named Albert Willis to Honolulu to help restore the Queen to her throne. Under his authority, 3 U.S. Navy ships, the USS Adams, the USRS Thomas Corwin, and USS Philadelphia. They reportedly had their guns ready in an attempt to threaten those involved in the overthrow. We found this article published on January 10, 1894 in the San Francisco Evening Bulletin reading, "He had our guns of our ships pointed at the palace in Honolulu. Sailors and Marines were ominously waiting in boats. 5 whole days of this sort of thing went on. Perhaps President Dole smiled and nothing more." You see, Cleveland did not authorize the use of force, and Dole called the bluff.
Yes, I admire him and I appreciate him for all the things he said, for the fact that he admitted to what happened, for the fact that he tried to undo it, but he didn't take that final step.
I think he would have liked to have seen Hawaii remain Hawaii. He didn't think that we should be running around overthrowing governments.
Ultimately, the fate of Queen Liliuokalani's throne was left in the hands of the next U.S. president, William McKinley. A year into his term, he made Hawaii a U.S. territory, paving the way for U.S. statehood. He even got a school named after him. Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Eddie. The 2 astronauts who were stranded in space for 9 months are finally heading home. Last night, the pair took off as part of a 4-person crew for a 17-hour flight back to Earth. Christian Benavides has more from Florida.
Good leak checks on the suits, good integrity on those suits.
It's the end of a space saga for astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, following their extended stay at the International Space Station.
Parting Crew 9 crew members posing for some final photos.
The pair, along with a fellow astronaut and a cosmonaut, undocked from the ISS overnight for the return to Earth in a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule.
Freedom is free of its moorings.
It's a long overdue trip for Wilmore and Williams. Last June, they blasted off aboard Boeing's Starliner for an 8-day research trip.
Lots of cheering here in the room, big hugs.
But propulsion issues and gas leaks on the spacecraft compelled their extended stay.
It looks probably a little cramped, and it's actually fairly roomy.
In all, the duo orbited the Earth more than 4,500 times. Before plunging through the atmosphere, the capsule carrying the astronauts reaches extreme temperatures with its heat shield protecting the crew.
Anyone who enjoys roller coaster rides, it's nothing worse than that.
Retired British astronaut Tim Peake faced the heat, G-force, and muscle loss after spending time on the space station with the European Space Agency a decade ago.
There might be some nausea, some dizziness, some vertigo, and your bones and your muscles are getting used to that loading as you stand up and walk around.
Wilmore and Williams will undergo medical evaluations and quarantine as they reintegrate to life on Earth.
Thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you for being with us.
A long-awaited return after an extra-long space adventure. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Clearwater, Florida.
settles in on this Tuesday. The storm system that swamped us the last couple of days is slowly weakening, but it's still in our neighborhood. So that's why skies are expected to be fairly cloudy today. And with those light winds, might be a little bit hazy as well. And there'll also be a few spotty showers, but the heavy rainfall, the thunderstorms should be a thing of the past. Like I said, the winds are expected to be trending more out of the northeast today. They're not going to be all that strong, and that's why we're expecting that fog and the haze to be kind of building for some portions of the state. Otherwise, it's going to be much mellower and much drier than yesterday. However, there will still be clouds and a few showers out there, mainly around the Wynwood and Malkin neighborhoods, and the stronger trade winds are a day away. Now, the surface is expected to build today in the afternoon to moderate levels. Not a big swell, but still should be pretty good. Plus, with the lighter winds, conditions are expected to be pretty good up there for that swell. So if your timing is good, you should be pretty good as well. So again, we still have a few lingering showers today, much drier conditions as we head into the middle of the week. And those trade winds running light today, stronger trade winds coming in on Wednesday. The next round of rain expected as a weak front moves in sometime the early part of next week. We're not expecting a washout, and it's at the end of the forecast. So there's still a little bit of uncertainty there.
Hawaii's workforce is getting a boost as a local learning center expands its trade education programs. Casey Lund has more from Makaha.
Aloha from the Makaha Learning Center. This is a really awesome opportunity for folks that want to either get into the construction trade, get into the solar industry, or just learn a little bit more, educate themselves. So almost essentially a free course that they offer, a couple of them, the Aloha Foundations, Aloha Construction Foundations, two of those courses, kind of the basics of construction, then also the Grid Ready Solar Program. We have one of the graduates, Ann, with us today. Thank you for being out here. We also have the solar instructor, Seth Levin. We've got Tim Carl up there and another graduate from the solar program, Rex. Let's start with you, Seth. Tell us a little bit, first of all, where we're at. We're here at the Makaha Learning Center. We were in the classroom earlier today, but out here on the mock roof, right?
Yeah, so as we're saying, at the end of all of our in-class learning, we like to try to bring the class and bring it to life here, right? By showing the students like what a solar module actually is. Feel the weight of it in your hands, right? See the racking equipment, but it's more than just seeing and touching this equipment, right? We actually take all of the concepts that we've learned throughout that whole period and run through a scenario. Like, We create a fake scenario where there's a home, it has certain loads in it. We determine what the offset of those loads are going to be, how much solar we need to offset them. We put together a design here on what that would look like. We run it through our mock permitting and approvals from the utility, and then we finally come out here in the field and we take this design and we install it here on the roof.
And you see this workflow, I guess, and really learn about it. And like we said, you're not getting certified as a solar installer, but this gets you in the door, gets you to learn a little bit more. And you took this just because simply you had a project you wanted to learn a little bit more. What was your experience going through the solar course, which is 16 weeks?
Well, my experience was tremendous. I was able to apply it actually in real life. So my little projects at home, but also it inspired me to get more involved in the solar promotion.
I love it. And just to educate yourself, and I want to ask Tim, you're up there on the roof. Again, you're not the solar guy. You're the Aloha Construction Foundations, that ACF course. You teach those two coming up in a little later this month and in June. But this can be applied to the solar thing. You could take both courses if you want, right?
Absolutely, Casey. The information that we'll give you in our core construction class could absolutely be applied to even installing solar panels, which Rex and I will demonstrate right now.
Yeah.
So here we go, Rex. Why don't we set this panel in place and show them how it's done, huh?
And while they're doing that, back to Seth, this hands-on experience, like we've been talking about. Of course, safety number one. You learn a lot about the safety, the PPE that it takes to do this job right. But just really quickly, because we're almost out of time, just for folks that might be interested in this. Again, you offer the grid-ready solar program. That's a 16-week course. That's in July, right?
Starts on July 11th and runs through October, the end of October.
And again, these are a $50 fee. That's refundable after you complete the course, right? So essentially, this is like a wealth of knowledge that you're getting for free. What a resource.
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, if you're just interested in it, it's a great course to come be a part of. Again, we're flexible with, taking the class and taking the class, coming into class, and coming and doing the practicum out here. But or if you're looking for a career switch, or newly out of high school looking for a career, this is a great opportunity.
Very good. And real the cowboy hard hat not included though. You got to get that on your own.
Yeah. This is this is for the instructor only.
Yeah, I do love that. Hey, we want to thank you guys for being with us today, sharing a little bit about your experience in this awesome opportunity for folks. Whether again you want to get into the construction trade or just learn a little more, educate yourself, and work on a project like Ann did. Very cool. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Thank you so much, Case, and thanks for watching. This is Now. More news first at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.